Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for the host. So I'm Davide La Sala. Currently, I'm a 3D generalist at Facebook London. And just before we start with the main topic, I would like to give you a little bit background about myself. So my level of nerdiness is like unbelievable. So just to keep stuff in perspective, I can tell you that, for example, where people were having parties and making out, I was actually building like rocket cars with like beer bottles and matchboxes. So yeah, these kind of things. And then when I was a little bit younger, I always been interested into robotics and toys and how they were really working. So I was lucky enough to change the slide, to own Teddy Ruxpin, which was a very famous robot toy back in the 80s. And it was very interesting because it was working with an audio cassette, and actually the peak in volumes were actually driving the mouth of this toy. So I said, okay, what can I do about it? Then I decided to put a Metallica cassette in it. And so it was a very funny result. It was screaming like, ah! So it was pretty fun. Then, back in the days, I decided, I really like robotics. So I decided to start learning electronics at school. So I went for electronic and telecommunication school. And this was like one of the most embarrassing pictures of me, just to break the ice a little bit. And then, while I was studying electronics, I realized that electronics at that time was very expensive, and I had to deal with gravity and power consumption. And then it was that time where computer graphics was taking off. So I decided, okay, let me finish these electronic studies, then I will do computer graphics. So this is what I did. Let's change slide. So this was one of my first projects when I was 18 years old. It was a music video from the band Eiffel 65 Blue, and it was one of the first music video completely CGI made in Italy. So it was pretty interesting and really rewarding experience. Then moving fast forward, like more than 10 years after, I started working with many different companies around the world, and these are some of the movies I worked on during the years. So like first in animation, like for Rise of the Guardians, The Croods. Then I moved to visual effects. I worked on Guardians of the Galaxy, Cinderella, and so on. So many different movies. But then, like a little bit more than a year ago, I decided to change stuff a bit. So because like I'm really interested into upcoming technologies, I decided, let's see what I can do next. So then I joined Oculus London, and then I moved to the Facebook AR team, and this is what I'm still there as a 3D generalist, and I'm really enjoying that. But I always been interested in robotics outside work. So this is my cat and my robot, Dix, which is a now robot. And also on the right there is Cosmo from Anki. So I always keep my passion alive for this kind of things. Also on my spare time I did some AI studies, like a simple crowd simulation in Unity. So I kept myself busy with this kind of thing. Now, let's go to the main topic of this presentation. So why art and animation are fundamental components for AI and robotics? Mainly for three reasons. So art and animation and sound, it gives you visual and auditory stimuli. It creates emotional engagement, which is incredibly important, and also will let you have a natural user experience with your AI or with your robots. So, for example, for this category, the first one, we do have shapes, color, and sounds. This is something that not everybody that is investing into AI and robotics is following. So, and these are like extremely important topics. And let's go back one slide. And if you're working on a personal assistant, I always think about Raymond Loewy, which is the father of industrial design, and he came up with a method called Maya, which is the most advanced, yes, acceptable idea, which means every time you design a robot, it has to be in a shape that people will recognize easily and be familiar with. So, and actually I have a sneak peek of something I'm working as a personal project, but they will be shown later in the presentation. For example, you recognize this idea of Maya in Google Home and Amazon Echo, which you can see that like very clean and simple design, and obviously in the new iteration of Imotech Olly, which is follow exactly this idea. The second thing, if you're working on a humanoid robot, which is obviously AI is also part of it, the head shape, for example, is extremely important. As you can see, if you think about every Disney movie or every animated movie, the evil guy is always the one with a thin jaw like mine. Or, see? Or, you know, the jolly guys like a rounder face, or there are very specific head shapes because people will recognize these are kind of ideas embedded into the human. So these are really important things to follow. Same thing for bodies. So if you see the second one from the bottom, very heavy set guy, you can clearly see the shape of B-Max from Big Hero 6. Or you will recognize a lot of different characters, and these are like basic character design shape. They must be applied when you're working on a robot. Obviously, shapes are important, but also colors. And here I'm not going to go through every single color, but you know that good colors can be blue, cherry red, and so on. And these are something that people should consider when working on this kind of thing. Bad guys can be all white, off-white and gray, purple, and black for Darth Vader. And just to go back to the like for example, for a good color, it can be also brown. Brown is like the color of, you know, the guy with wisdom, the mentor, and so on. And let's keep going. So also, sound is extremely important. So every time you do an AI or a robotic project, sound is as a fundamental component of the full experience that you're gonna let people experience with your project. Obviously, then all these shapes, colors, and sound are contributing into the emotional engagement. And emotional engagement means, for an AI or a robot, is like acting, reacting, and empathy. So something like body language, how the AI or the robot is going to respond to people is extremely important. And here, if we can have the audio for a bit. This is a robot made by Sphero, which is kind of, as you can see, it has a very good shape, color, and obviously is inspired by the Cars movie. So, and this is like a super new toy that will be out soon. And this is the perfect example of how an AI or a robot has to be represented in real life. Yeah, the second video I wanted to show you is still related to body language. This is Cosmo. And look at this guy. So, and the cool thing about this robot is that it has everything I just told you about, which is, you know, the expression of the eyes, the color choices, the sound, the music, and everything brings this character to life. And actually, Carlos Baena is a very famous animator that has been at ILM and Pixar, and he actually managed to do something really cool that I wanted to do for many years, which is mixing robotics and animation. He actually made all this animation in a 3D software, and he found a way to export it to the real robot itself. Then let's go to the next slide. And obviously, all this information that are also fundamental when you are talking and with this AI or with a robot. And I also believe they should also have a small comedy factor. So, and then I want to show you something else. So this is my favorite robot designer. And he said something very cool, which is having people talking with a brick doesn't work. This is why Siri did not succeed. And he has a kind of extreme idea about his work. And it actually makes sense, because people are not using Siri because they are talking with a brick. So there is not really empathy, there is not really engagement with something that is not visually alive. So, and he actually came up with a super crazy idea that I want to show you, called RoboHon. This is actually a smartphone, but in a shape of a robot.
Ohio.
I know. But it may be up to something. Who knows? You cannot really predict what the public is gonna adopt. And I can't buy one. It's Japan only, unfortunately. I know, he is trying, so I think, I'm sure he's gonna come up with something that everybody's gonna love. And this RoboHon is made by Sharp. Now, after all the thing I told you, what time is it? Okay, perfect. This is something, it can be a bit scary for everybody here. So this is something you should never do. I just made a collection of video called the Nope Robots. So imagine all these rules and ideas and methods and these people are not really following any of those. So be prepared. There should be also the sound, which is very important. Yeah. It's like, guys, really. I know they may be really advanced robots, but guys, please, don't do it. Okay, now let's talk about Ollie. So when I joined Imotech to work on Ollie, I had a really big challenge. So how to let this robot emote with people and find a way to be engaging and reactive and alive. So how we can show personality with just an eye? so the first thing I was thinking is, okay, let me think about which famous character, maybe animated character, has only one eye. So I say, okay, is Mike Wazowski from Monster Inc. So I said, okay, so we need a brow, we need eyelids. Okay, so using this as a reference, we started developing the idea. So then we were thinking about the design. So let's do hyper-realistic eyeball inside this. This is nah, maybe not. So we basically developed some tonalities into colors, and we also had to find a way to display different personalities with just one eyeball. And so what we came up with after choosing the best colors, we came up with these two personalities. And they look similar, but they can be like very different in behavior. So the one with the blue eye is actually a more focused personality, a more serious, and as you can see, the eyelids are more closed. The one on the left with the brown eye, you can feel it is more joyful because the pupil is more open, and it looks like it's more curious. So this is something that we came up with. And then the other thing was how we can animate this guy now. So I was working with this animator called Francesco Sternativo, and he actually drew this picture, which is quite amazing, and it clearly gets you the idea. So because we had only two eyelids, we decided to use the upper eyelid to describe the brows movement and the lower eyelid to describe the mouth. And then we had the eyeball to describe direction and everything. And so this is the library of animation we came up with. And as you can see, you have the two personalities, and they are acting slightly differently, as I was saying, based on the personality choice we did before. So as you can see, in one is saying yes, the other one is saying no, in another one is scared, and so on. So this is like a big study that we did. And this was just a demo video where we applied and we put everything together. The plan was also to add sound and use the bass to communicate body language, which is like rotating the robot and emote with this animation. Okay, so moving on to another thing. This is the world premiere of a personal project I've been working on. It's called Project Vino, which means wine in Italian. So, and there you go. So Vino is a personal assistant in the shape of a wine bottle. And this is actually putting together all the theory I just explained to you, which is like a recognizable shape. It's funny looking, and is not really complicated to use. And it actually does all the things that a normal personal robot or assistant do, like talk, interact with the user, play music, home security. Actually, this is a webcam, a microphone, and the funny thing about this robot is that the cork is actually a control. So if you rotate the cork, you can turn up and down the volume, and if you click it, you can mute it. And the display here is like an e-paper display, so you can leave it on, and it's not going to consume any energy. And then it's based on the Raspberry Pi and all the common components you can find online. And software-wise, I call it, this is fun, it's called Osteria. Osteria means tavern in Italian. So, and it's based on Jasper, which is an open source project, and another library called Motion, and MoPD to music streaming and so on. And let's see the next. So, as a conclusion to my presentation, I have a bonus video that I hope you enjoy.
What is my purpose?
Pass the butter.
You.
Dad, I need a ride to work.
Maybe Rick can give you a ride. I'm helping Morty with science.
I'm busy.
Doing what?
Anything else?
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
Oh my god.
Yeah, welcome to the club, pal.
Thank you so much, guys.